What's up, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Game, your one source for all that's cool in video games. You can be a part of the show. All you have to do is go to insidethegame.ca or hit us up on Discord, where there you can submit your clip and end off our show. You can also follow more of our content over on YouTube at Inside the Game Official, and follow us on Twitch, where we're there live every week at twitch.tv/theofficialitg. Now, what's coming up on this week's show? Here it is. It's the rundown.
You get 4 new missions that take place in the beloved Netherworld.
I recommend it though, because honestly, it's on Game Pass. I think that's a big saving grace for it overall, and is really mostly developed by one person. That's like a huge achievement. This is really cool for one person to do this. Moving forward, I thought they had the potential to have a No Man's Sky return with Anthem.
If you're into gaming news at all, you've definitely heard about Valheim. It's a $20 game on Steam. It's kind of an adventure survival Viking style game.
Are you on melee weapons only? Or?
Alright, melee only, let's go.
Alright.
Melee's only?
Yeah.
Melee's only.
Melee's only.
I didn't even upgrade it, but let's go.
That looks like a killer show, so let's get started. Nate's kicking things off with some Minecraft Dungeons DLC.
This week, I'm mob crushing solo in Minecraft Dungeons' latest DLC, Flames of the Nether. So about a year ago, Drew and I got our hands on Minecraft Dungeons, Mojang's latest title, where they took Minecraft and turned it into like a dungeon crawler, Diablo style isometric RPG. And I absolutely adored the game. I thought it was a great introduction for people who have never really played this style of game, because it just gives you a good foundation on some of the really complex things that can be in the likes of Baldur's Gate or Diablo 3. So getting into Flames of the Nether, I think for only $8 or a part of the $25 season pass, it is absolutely worth it. You get 4 new missions that take place in the beloved Netherworld. It's a place where it's the end game. You have to harvest a bunch of materials to craft a portal in the Minecraft game itself, and then you actually get to go to this other realm where it's just filled with crazy creatures and just a completely different biome than what you're used to in Minecraft. So to see it in Minecraft Dungeons, it is done very well. They actually, on the maps, they've added some new mechanics, some interesting puzzle mechanics as well. We have also got a whole plethora of new creatures to crush and new weapons and armors and upgrades to obtain. This actually was a wicked package for only $8. Now, like I said, you do only get 4 missions, but you also get a secret level on top of more daily trials. And what they added on top of this for free, now this isn't a part of Flames of the Nether, but they've actually added a whole new mode, the Ancient Hunt. And this, you can just basically, like lots of other games, grind out for better gear. So there was just one thing I had to mention, and it's so minor. A couple spots where I was in the map, there was some kind of clipping issues or just graphics kind of flashing in and out. But aside from that, this game ran very well on the Series X. I didn't have any frame drops, even with all those creatures and all the chaos that was happening at once. It really didn't dip down at all. So overall, this experience was very good. So another thing I'm going to gripe about a little bit is that the story, it didn't really connect me. Before each mission, you can read a little bit of a blurb that kind of explains why you're there and how you're going to escape. But I would have loved just a little voiceover at the start of each mission, because at the start they do this kind of cool pan over of the whole entire area, and just to have a little bit of a voiceover, I felt like would have been that much more of a connection. But all in all, I'm going to have to score this one because I really did enjoy this game and I have to recommend it. I'm going to give it a 7.5 because the story, again, like I was saying just not that long ago, it really didn't connect me. But aside from that, they came up with some more free stuff. They got some new missions with totally cool different biomes. So all in all, 7.5. A great addition to your Minecraft journey that brings you to the Netherrealm. Slaying mobs is complemented greatly by new weapons, armor, abilities, creatures, and a mode called the Ancient Hunt. Alright, Drew, we got our hands this time on a different style game, a mobile game, and this one's actually a paid game, about $7 Canadian, and we're talking about Super Cops Justice Keeper. Now, what did you think of this kind of top-down RPG survival-esque style game, man?
Yeah, you know what? I was impressed what it had going for the game, but then you got into the game, and that's kind of where it kind of held me up a little bit, to be honest. You set out to rescue your daughter, and then after that, Steve Justice just finds himself in a whirlwind of a disaster of an area. And next thing you know, zombies are taking over the place, and you're out to, you know, free that. And then it's also got this survival element of upgrading your base and things like that. It's got the elements of a good game, but it just, execution-wise, just fell a little short for me, right? This top-down view, we've all played it. We played a lot of it before in the past. But like you and I were talking off screen, and it's a little hard to tell what you're looking at times, right? You got these little circle characters more or less on screen, and then like these little poles come out for their arms and their legs, and then they're moving around the screen. You know, it's to be honest, the overall game is just, it's really cheesy. Nate, how about you?
Oh man, yeah, this game's got cheese written all over it. There's actually like kind of a little Easter egg. I don't know if I should spoil it.
Nah, don't do it.
It's partway through the game, and there's just this kind of ridiculous thing they throw in there. But at any rate, this game, it has RPG elements. There's about 8 different things to choose from to upgrade, and by upgrading, all you need to do is get experience by killing enemies. And man, like you said, this game, it's got some, the idea is there, but it's just very lacking in depth. Like the base building aspects, there's like stone and wood and oil to accumulate, and oil, it takes a while to even start building that resource. So ultimately, you're just building up your base, building a little bit of defenses, and man, the whole time I'm playing this, gameplay wise, it's kind of just lacking. I don't know, it's just very unsmooth. Like while you're shooting, the aiming's kind of lousy, man. I found interacting with things, scavenging through your navigating through your inventory, all of it is just very cumbersome and just Man, I can't recommend this one.
That's fair. Honestly, the biggest hiccup for me was the shooting mechanic. That top down, I was kind of hoping for like a Hotline Miami experience. You go in, boom, and you just nail it instantly. But for me, it was a short range burst when you're shooting your guns, and then the zombies were like right up on you, and then you're like, it was chunky when the animation was hitting your gun as you're trying to shoot into these characters, and your guns are like, they're flailing all over the place. For me, man, this game was difficult, and honestly, I'm right there with you. I couldn't recommend it either. All right, Corey, grab your falcon. We're heading to the skies.
But some men only see what is to gain. In water, in stone, fire. And unfortunately in this world, they are the ones who decide.
Corey, you and I were checking out a game on Game Pass, and one that I've had my eye on for a while now. I'm talking about the Falconeer. This is a different spin from what we've seen in the past for dogfighters. We're actually taking a falcon, and that's your job, that's your role as a Falconeer, to go out and help one faction to another faction to another faction. And to be honest, that's really what we're doing, Corey, is just repeat, rinse and repeat with this game. I had a good time, but there's definitely some issues with the game overall. Gotta recommend it though, because honestly, it's on Game Pass. I think that's a big saving grace for it overall, and is really mostly developed by one person. That's like a huge achievement. This is really cool for one person to do this with a little bit of help here or there. But the story, for me, I thought was okay. It pushed the story along, but dude, missions were the same. That was my biggest problem. How did you feel about the Falconeer?
Well, honestly, again, you hop into this game, visually, it looks great, right? The environment, the Earthsea, the ocean that we're traveling around in is really cool. The water looks awesome. You know, there's storm systems we're flying through. I mean, it's done really, really well. The presentation of this game is nice. And the fact, like you said, that it's on Game Pass is a huge bonus. I feel like this is one that maybe people are gonna maybe pass over, not necessarily understand exactly what this game's all about. But if you're into that Crimson Skies type game, this is the dogfighting game that we kind of have been waiting for since then. There hasn't been a lot of good console, dogfighting games, and there's not many flying games on Game Pass at all. I think there's like an Ace Combat, and I think that's maybe it. So the fact that this is kind of one of the few in the genre on Game Pass is really nice. But back to the game, for me, I really enjoyed kind of the mechanics of it all, how we get into it. I like the fact that there's a targeting system, because I did find the controls to be a little bit interesting to get used to. Your bird flies around really quickly, and the camera's moving all over the place. But what I found is my aiming reticle was kind of sluggish to the camera movement. So I may be trying to, turn around really quickly, but I'm waiting for that reticle to get where I want it to go. So it was a little weird to get used to, but kind of once you got the feel for it, it was, significantly easier to kind of traverse this environment. And I thought it was pretty cool the way you checked out and kind of flew over certain areas. You could land there and interact with, certain shops, or depending on if you have missions there. It was really cool how that they presented all that. You just fly over the area, you hold down A. They made it pretty seamless in that regard. And there's a lot of fast travel in this game, which I thought was really handy, because the environment is pretty large, but it doesn't necessarily feel overly populated. The settlements and where the factions are look really cool, and they were done well, but there's not a ton in between. Like there's the Maw, which is this huge kind of ditch in the middle of the ocean, which is done it looks awesome, and it is done really well. Cool. But outside of that, we just have these scattered islands all over the place, and then the odd boat that's around that you can help escort to certain areas. And I mean, you kind of come up empty after that.
No, absolutely, Corey. I found myself, honestly, I put my controller down and just let my Falcon go. And then he follows, so the Falcon will go on a straight line, and all of a sudden he'll veer off. And then he'll make his way back a little bit. So the first time he veered off, I'm like, whoa, where are you going? Grab my controller, and then I'd let it go. But it actually kind of made his way around, but he still veered off a little bit in the other direction. The biggest thing for me is the camera control. It's got this lock-on center aesthetic to it, because it draws you right back to the center. It's not a free controller by any means with the camera or the reticule. You're always locked in the middle of the screen, and that's the biggest thing when you're trying to dogfight with some of these creatures and things, whether it be a falcon or a bug that you're trying to shoot down out of the sky, or the ships that are in the ocean. The camera, when you tilt it, and then it just locks, it brings you right back to the center. And I'm just
snaps
like,
a lot.
Stop doing that, because I'm on target until you pull me back away from my target. So I found that really frustrating. But that was probably about the biggest part about the game, and the fact that you're right, it feels kind of empty.
Drew, the story in this game, like you said, it's not, a super deep story here, but it's kind of a political one in the sense that we started off by fighting for this one faction. We're doing, a lot of escort missions, a lot of kind of go take out the enemies here and then head back to the base. And you kind of get a lot of that as you go through the different chapters in this game and you start playing for each one of these factions. And they're all kind of battling against each other, and you're kind of playing this, kind of, I don't know. I don't like to say it's like a floofy kind of role, but you're not really, have any allegiance to anybody. So you're just kind of going around, and it's a lot of the same stuff. And it's just kind of like, this faction is just a bit of a reskin from the faction you just played for. I like the fact that you can go around and just pick which ones you want to, start the missions for. You don't necessarily have to follow a certain storyline here, and they all kind of overlap in the same timeline. And that was done pretty well. I thought the voice acting, as kind of corny as it was done pretty well. And the pre-mission was done kind of, very interesting. I like the way they laid out the map, so you kind of knew where you were going. But when you went to go start these missions, we just talked about this, you're in the opposite direction that you're supposed to be heading every time. I always had to do a 180 and start flying towards, my mission objective. And it was really disappointing, because I thought, these are just small things that you could tweak. They're just quality of life improvements. And I'm sure, maybe as this kind of goes on, if they do add any sort of updates, maybe some of these things will kind of get smoothed out. Again, one guy developing this game, for the most part, you are going to run into some issues.
Like, there's good points to the game, but there's also a lot of just quality of life issues and just this rinse and repeat mechanic that's in the game that carries the story forward. Each story level too has different levels of your character that you should have your Falconeer at, with more gear and things to upgrade and things like that, which I thought was a nice touch. But when you're going from one faction to another faction to do the same thing, it just doesn't have that lasting appeal.
Yeah, and I can't disagree there, Drew. And I think we could talk about this game, in a little more depth. But again, there isn't a whole lot of extra content here to, dig through. It's a fun game. I think it was done really well. But if we got to score this one up, what do you think you're going to give it out of 10, man?
Well, I was kind of back and forth, and I said to you, well, once we have our conversation, I think I'll have my number. And I think I'm there with a 6.5.
You know what? I'm right there with you, man. This game is definitely worth checking out, especially if you have Game Pass. I mean, the fact that you can just hop in and start playing this one, it's a lot of fun to get into. If you can get past the shaky controls at the beginning, I think you're going to have a good time, but I'm right there with you with 6.5. Great visuals and fun gameplay will draw you in, but the lack of mission variety and sluggish control scheme may make this one dead in the water.
Well, guys, we got a special one this week, and we're going to need a few moments of silence for the End of Anthem. Yeah, that's about it. Okay. You guys, here we go. I want to kick things off. Christian Daly over on the BioWare site had a few things to say, and it was, it kind of put things in perspective of what's going on, especially over the course of the COVID pandemic, right? And he stated, in the spirit of transparency and closure, we wanted to share that we've made the difficult decision to stop our new development work on Anthem, aka Anthem Next. We will, however, continue to keep the Anthem live service running as it exists today. 2020 was a year unlike any other, however, and while we continue to make progress against all our other projects at BioWare, working from home during the pandemic has made an impact on our productivity, and not everything we had planned as a studio before COVID-19 can be accomplished without putting due stress on our teams. To our Anthem community, thank you for your passion and creativity. Your feedback and suggestions most certainly help shape the team's direction. And on a personal note, your kindness and encouragement were much needed last year. So
So a lot of PR speak.
There is definitely some PR speak there, without a doubt, right? Nate, you and I talked about this before. They came out with a little blurb saying what they were working on. Now, granted, BioWare formed a small team of about 30 people to work on Anthem Next. I think that kind of states everything right there, what happened, honestly, right? That's a small team. You're trying to fix a big game with a small team. Like that's and then from all of that, then you get into the whole COVID pandemic, working from home. Everybody now is transitioned from working from home. From every game studio to our show, everybody now has basically made that transition, right? And a lot of companies have had to slow things down. A lot of games released this year that didn't come so well. We can name off a couple, obviously. But, moving forward, I thought they had the potential to have a No Man's Sky return with Anthem, because that groundwork that they were laying out, Nate, you and I covered it. Dude, that looked awesome. Don't you think?
Oh man, I thought it looked really good, man. It looked promising, and to be honest, it just makes me wonder, how far along did these guys actually get? How long back did they actually quit on this?
Yep.
Because 30 people's salary for a year, that's a lot of money, man. Or at least a decent amount of money.
Sure.
But I'm pretty miffed, man. I'm so upset.
Yeah, I know.
There's so many things about Anthem. Let's go back to the launch period where there was just missing content.
Yep.
And did we ever get it?
No.
No, man. We never got a raid. I can't even believe that happened. Like, the only thing we got in Anthem this entire time was the Cataclysm event. And they just repeated that a couple times.
Yeah.
And, dude, our javelins never changed the way they look. I mean, I could just go on why this is just a mind-blowing thing. I mean, I did kind of foresee it happening, sort of. Like, I kind of had an inkling or a feeling, right? Especially with Mass Effect's new game coming out and the new Dragon Age, and I'm sure they're working on something else.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Corey. What do you think? Do you think that they are going to be, these 30 people, are they going to be shoved on a new project that they're working on? Or,
I don't know.
are they going to...
It's one of those things, you're right. They're probably most likely going to be absorbed. These are talented people. Just because the project they're working on wasn't successful doesn't mean they're not good at their jobs, right? So there's a real good chance these people are going to be absorbed into other projects to help out and, beef up the development of those games, whether it be, like you said, Dragon Age, or, you get into the other ones like that. But for me, Anthem was one of those things where you guys pretty much stopped it for me before I really got right into it, right? Before it could completely disappoint me. Like, yeah, the launch was pretty well botched. The game was, so hyped. We were all so hyped up about it. I mean, I feel bad for the people I got to buy the game. Like, it's just one of those things where there was just not enough to do in this game. They never gave us enough. All they ever did was promise more, and they never really brought it, right? So I was disconnected from Anthem for a long time, and you guys kind of always checked in, off and on, because you guys completed the campaign. You played into the, what was there of the end game, whether playing through that spider boss a million different times. But it was, this whole idea of having a new kind of structure and them kind of trying to take this game and revamp it, like you said, Drew, 30 people isn't the number of people you need for this size of restructure of a game like Anthem that required so much more work to be done for this to be, what everybody wanted it to be. And it's just so disappointing to, you know, I did have a little hope. I was like, you know what, maybe this is what's going to get me back into Anthem, right? Like, this is going to make it worth the $75 we all spent on that game. But it was just, I don't know. It's just really disappointing to see that something that had so much promise is just, now it's going to go down as probably one of the biggest embarrassments for that studio.
Which is just another tack on for EA, unfortunately. You know, at the end of the day, we discuss topics like this and we bring Anthem back into the mix on the show because we care. I loved this game. Like, I loved it, but I griped on it too because there were so many issues. Like Nate said, my javelin has not changed from day one, which was just mind-blowing to
me. Crazy.
Like, nothing. This is a looter shooter. My javelin looks exactly the same 50 hours into the game. Well, how is that possible? You know, I can keep going back to it, but we always come back to this game because we wanted more for the game. We all saw the potential of what Anthem could be, and when they talked about Anthem next, man, like, I had goosebumps. I was pumped. I was excited for all these changes, and then they just cancel it. Now, granted, making games is tough. We all know it's tough. We're not game developers. We're just a bunch of clowns on the show talking about them instead. So it's a little bit easier for us, but it's a grind for them too. And it's got to be a disappointment for the team who's actually working on this to go, man, we just got canceled.
Yeah, man. And unfortunately, the community of looter shooters is one of the hungriest communities.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, every game, Division, Destiny, people will argue that there's just not enough content. You know, these live service games, but just Anthem, man.
It just is what could have, I guess, is kind of how we see it, right? We saw what they were laying out, and it looked promising. In the end, they just called it and they canceled it. And unfortunately, we'll never see it. We talked about, should they do Anthem 2 and just skip the Anthem Next? Well, now we're not even going to get an Anthem 2. Never mind Anthem Next. That just canceled Anthem completely. An absolute heartbreak. Let us know at InsideTheGame.ca. How do you feel about canceling Anthem? Good idea? Bad idea? We were blasted today with PlayStation news, and we've got you covered with all the latest in PlayStation. Starting things off, PlayStation makes its return with the Play at Home initiative. Jim Ryan took to the PlayStation blog and had this to say: last April, we launched the Play at Home initiative, offering up 2 incredible PlayStation games for free: Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, and Journey. I like to think they helped make the year just a little bit easier. This year, we wanted to go further, so we designed a series of free games and entertainment offers for our PlayStation community to make the next few months a little more fun and enjoyable. This year's Play at Home initiative is kicking off in March and extending through to June. Starting March 1st, PlayStation and Insomniac Games will make Ratchet & Clank PS4 available for free to download for a limited time through the PlayStation Store starting on March 1st to March 31st. Starting March 25th, Funimation, a joint venture of Sony Pictures Entertainment and Aniplex of Japan, are kicking in a very special offer: extended access for new subscribers to Funimation in the countries they are available. So there you go, starting on March 1st, you can get Ratchet & Clank for free. Add that to your collection, that's a fantastic game. And sticking with more PlayStation, well, we saw Horizon Zero Dawn make its way over on PC. That's right, a PlayStation exclusive made its way to the world of PCs. Well, they're extending that with another game. We're talking about Days Gone. In a new interview with GQ, Jim Ryan explains the decision to release PlayStation titles on PC is fairly straightforward, because it's easier than ever to bring the games to a new audience, and the quality of the company's IP has grown over the last few years. Jim Ryan commented on Horizon Zero Dawn's release to PC. Firstly, in terms of straightforward success of the activity of publishing the game on PC, people liked it, and they bought it. Horizon Zero Dawn was a great success over on PlayStation, which made a lot of sense to bring it to the world of PC. But bringing Days Gone seems to be a little bit different. When Days Gone launched, it definitely had mixed reactions, but as the years gone on, fans have grown stronger of the game, and, well, it can get a better life maybe over on PC. Now, to wrap up the world of PlayStation's blast today, they announced something else that we've all been looking forward to, and I'm talking about the next world of VR. PlayStation VR 2 is just around the corner. Well, more like 2022. We're continuing to innovate with our new VR system so that our fans can continue to enjoy the unique experiences that are synonymous with PlayStation. We're taking what we've learned since launching PlayStation VR on PS4 to develop the next-gen VR system that enhances everything from resolution and field of view to tracking and input. It will connect to PS5 with a single cord to simplify setup and improve ease of use, while enabling a high-fidelity visual experience. One of the innovations we're excited about is our new VR controller, which will incorporate some of the key features found in the DualSense wireless controller, along with a focus on great ergonomics. So there weren't any pictures, there was no splash screen, there was no trailer, in fact, when it came to the launch of this exciting news for the PlayStation VR 2. That's all we have to go by. And they did mention that it's not coming in 2021. Can't say I'm really that surprised, but it is nice to see that they're working on something. It's just, when are we going to get it and when will we see it? Definitely PlayStation VR has been a bit of a roller coaster, but it was a learning curve to get started, and VR is only getting stronger. Big highlight though is the fact that we won't be using our Move controllers anymore. Those things were brutal. So let's see what they get for a new controller, because I'm excited, and let us know what you think at InsideTheGame.ca. Are you getting the PSVR 2? Let us know.
So if you're into gaming news at all, you've definitely heard about Valheim. It's a $20 game on Steam. It's kind of an adventure survival Viking style game. And this game is kind of, it took everybody by surprise a little bit here. I think a lot of people didn't realize what this game was all about. The price tag, you don't necessarily think of a AAA title when you see $20. And by no means am I saying this game is a AAA title, but it is a ton of fun. And you know what? I don't even have to tell you, because the numbers back it up. Since launch, 21 days since launch, there's been 4 million copies of the game sold. In the last 5 days, there's been 1 million copies of the game sold. This game is catching fire right now. It's the 5th most watched game on Steam, with over 500,000 concurrent viewers all at one time. This game is absolutely amazing. It's the 57th best reviewed game on Steam as well, and it actually has a combined total playtime of 10,000 years so far by players overall. I mean, this game is just kind of having everybody having a good time. You can play this game solo, you can play this game with your friends. It's all server based, and let me tell you, this one's just a ton of fun. And there's the developers of the game are saying, this is still in early access, so we're reaching these huge numbers, and this isn't even a finished game. The way the map is laid out in this game, there's different biomes and areas, and it's just going to be something they're going to keep adding to, and they've said that this is a game that's going to keep growing and keep getting better, especially with all the community involvement that there already is. Valheim's going to be crushing some serious numbers. If you haven't heard of it or even checked it out, you gotta at least hop on Steam and just take a look at it, because let me tell you, once you get into this one, you're going to be addicted, and you're just going to be one of those millions.
Occasionally on the show, we do one of my personal favorite segments, Game Relics. This segment, we kind of cover games that we haven't seen in years, whether or not the developer no longer exists, or the developer just completely dropped the IP. But one of the games that I've covered in the past, I finally see some light at the end of the tunnel. Star Wars Republic Commando. Now this game, it was recently brought to backwards compatibility on the Xbox One. So what we have now is on April 4th, we will be able to play this on the Nintendo Switch and PS4. The developer Aspyr is behind this, and they recently did Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, another remaster that I personally thought they did perfectly. And for a whopping $15, you will be able to get this thing handheld on the Switch. That is absolutely great. And I had played this game 16 years ago. Yes, this came out in 2005, and this game had some revolutionary tech. Next level first person shooting mechanics. Honestly, to this date, some of the best squad based mechanics I've seen. An compelling story. Wow, if you have never played this game, you have got to check it out on whatever platform you can, because you can play it anywhere now, it seems.
If like me you jumped on the hype train in 2019 with a presentation at E3 of Cyberpunk 2077 and the guest appearance of Keanu Reeves introducing Johnny Silverhand as one of the characters, I was looking forward to playing this in April 2020 on my Xbox One. Well, unfortunately in January 2020 CD Projekt Red released a statement saying the game is nowhere near ready and it was due for release in September. Then it got delayed until October and then got released on December the 10th. Well, unfortunately it froze my Xbox One 3 times, I had bugs, I had glitches and I had frame rate issues which made me impossible to play this game anymore, so I stopped playing it. Well, CD Projekt Red released a statement saying there'll be 2 big patches coming out in 2021, one in January and one in February. Well, they released one in January and the list of fixes was as long as your arm, and I'm not going to go through this right now as it was too many to explain. But then unfortunately the fix that was supposed to come out in February has now been delayed, and CD Projekt Red has released another statement. While we dearly wanted to deliver patch 1.2 for Cyberpunk's 2077 in the time span we detailed previously, the recent cyber attack on our studio's IT infrastructure and extensive scope of the update mean unfortunately will not happen. We need some additional time. Our goal for patch 1.2 goes beyond any of our previous updates. We've been working on numerous overall quality improvements and fixes, and we still have work to do to make sure what you get. With that in mind, we're now aiming for release in the second half of March. It's not the news we enjoy sharing, but we want to make sure we launch this update properly. Stay tuned for more information as the time draws closer. Thank you for the continued patience and support. Now this is a shame as I really wanted to jump back into Cyberpunk, but I was waiting for this update to happen to hopefully cure some of the bugs and glitches that I'm experiencing, not to hinder my experience of the game, as I really love the storyline and the mashup between the GTA and Blade Runner kind of feel. But unfortunately CD Projekt Red has been hit with a lot of bad luck on this game, with upset investors and also getting the game removed after release from the PlayStation Store, which is probably the first time anything like this has happened in history. I was also looking forward to the multiplayer that was supposed to drop this year, but to be honest with you, with the game still broken as it is, I can't see this happening, and I'm hoping they'll still work on it to sort the game and give the experience that the gamers want.
The guys and I were live over on twitch.tv/theofficialitg, hanging out with our community from Discord to play some Rogue Company. Here's how it went.
So we going melee weapons only, or?
Alright, melee only, let's go.
Alright.
Melee's only?
Yeah.
Melee's only.
Melee's only.
I didn't even upgrade it, but let's go.
Soon enough, Sub. You'll be back, bud.
I got a bat.
Oh, you got a bat? Alright, bats out. Bats out. Let's go.
Let's go.
What's the
Are we using grenades, or are we just hacking? Everyone just hacking?
I'm going no. Melee only.
We can use nades.
Melee.
Okay, melee only? Okay.
What's that? Is that right cursor?
Right cursor, yeah. If you hold Y, it pulls out your melee weapon if you have one, but right cursor is the actual, like, attack.
Man, I don't know how this is gonna go.
Not well. I'm right behind you. Don't shoot me. I see you.
I think we all went one.
Dude, yeah, we all went one side and you guys went the other, for sure. Steve found somebody.
Probably down there.
Why can I get out the window? Yeah. Alright, let's go. Warriors! Let's go!
Whoa, Corey, you doing ninja.
Wait, where's the bat?
I'm down.
No!
Oh!
My bat!
Oh,
Right
that's
there,
cheating.
Punch him.
Get that out of here.
I threw my melee weapon. I don't have one now.
Get back here, Adam.
I can't turn around.
Oh, you hit me with it! Oh no!
What the?
There's... Oh, there's one coming, Help me! I need a pickup!
Ridiculous.
I didn't have a melee weapon. So
Yeah, Drew, you stand up on top. That's what I like to see.
Alright, screw this melee nonsense.
What?
No!
Come on. Man, I had so many kills there.
Are we back to shooting or VD?
What? Are we shooting now or back to, are we still melee?
Oh no, I guess for melee.
Alright. Oh, come melee, you throw that at me. What is that?
I threw it on the ground and you just happened to run into it.
Oh, the rules are getting broken all over the
That is
place.
cheating. That's dirty. Dirty.
Oh, I can just hear the baseball bat beatings. Oh, man.
Come at me, bro.
Whatever was here.
Oh, there's two of them. There's three.
Yeah.
Oh!
I need help!
Oh,
Let's go!
Regroup.
Okay, they got 3 tickets. You guys don't have any.
Oh,
Alright, regroup.
that was
Yeah,
Let's
get on
go
the
this
point.
way.
You gotta get on the point.
Yo, let's get on. Oh,
Corey, you're on the point. Oh, you're dead.
Steve just standing
You
there.
gotta double
Wham!
team them there, Corey.
What's that?
14 seconds.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it.
Oh!
Yo, you got
Wow.
him. You got him. Oh, yo, Asky's
Go, go, go!
Asky's got him.
Let's go!
I can do
Give
it.
me. Corey.
Uh-oh,
Oh,
Yes.
I got it.
uh-oh.
2v2. We're good. Roll.
Roll.
Uh-oh.
Use your bumpers.
I gotta get
What it does.
I'm in trouble.
Oh.
I shouldn't have thrown my bat. I tried to take Drew out with the bat throw.
Yeah,
You got it, boys.
Yes!
Oh!
Oh!
Oh, I got one. Dang.
Thanks, Free Float. Yeah.
God, you guys. Oh, I'm dead. I was surrounded.
Oh, he's in the window. He's up in the window.
Oh, man.
30 seconds remaining. Not much longer.
Yeah. It's all up
Okay,
to
he
Nate. He's
ducked
got
away.
25 seconds.
Coming towards you, Skate.
Yep. Oh no, he's gonna get me. Yeah, you got him. Yeah! We got cheeky, we tried to all go melee.
I could read you guys like a book.
The Finley boys coming at you with the katanas.
3v1, okay, let's go.
Steve, every now and then you see one of these games just kind of take off. And well, that happened with Valheim. So let's check it out. Steve, you and I jumped over on Steam just like a whole lot of other people to check out Valheim. This is a unique spin on a survival-esque adventure set in a Viking time period, which to me is always a draw for me. I love that Viking setting. So all that Norse mythology and stuff is just fantastic. And I thought this one was different. A lot different in the sense of the art style I thought was very unique compared to what we've been playing a lot lately. It's very almost kind of like a high-res version of Minecraft, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not super high-end details, but yeah, it's got some of these vistas that are like the stunning moments too. When all of a sudden you get the sunshine coming through and it hits you right in the face. It's got some awe-inspiring moments, and the graphics are just, I got used to the graphics. It's not really my style when it comes to the visuals, but I did get used to it. But I really kind of got hooked on the gameplay, because there's a lot going on in this one, Steve. What do you think with Valheim?
Well, first of all, like as you first mentioned, like the graphics, like I said, they're not over performance and high detail
but it actually suits the game.
Yeah.
The whole the landscape, the art design, the whole thing. I actually played with an Xbox controller as well.
Really?
Yes. Unfortunately, not all the features are possible on the controller because I was trying to work out how to do things.
Yeah.
I found it a bit laggy on the controller, like turning my character around, especially like picking up objects.
Right.
Like I found looking at stones, picking up stones, you have to physically look at the floor. And I found myself looking at the floor like just to hover over enough to pick it up.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
same with the branches. But like, yeah, I ended up later on, the more I played with the controller, I found it was easy to use the mouse as well on certain aspects, like the map, like putting waypoints in.
Really? So you went back and forth?
Yeah, well, I was actually using my controller to move around, but then when I was in the map section, I was using the mouse because some of the features didn't work on the controller. So,
Okay.
and I'm not very good on the keyboard either. And
That's
bearing
fair.
in mind as well, this is my first open world RPG game.
Like this, yeah, in this sense.
Like this.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I sort of play these kind of things, I lose interest because I do not know what to do.
Yeah.
I get very frustrated.
Sure.
I feel like playing it for hours and hours and not knowing what I'm doing. But when I started playing this, I didn't realise after an hour and a half I was picking up stones. And I found the music actually relaxing. After like a full day's work, jumped on, and I was just chilling out, listening to the music and just punching trees. And then when I worked out how to use the crafting stuff, the rewards are like amazing. I felt such an accomplishment of building something, and you do start with a bare minimum.
Oh,
when you start this
absolutely.
game.
Yeah, no, you
So-
pretty well start with nothing, right, Steve? You're basically given a
Yeah.
little bit of clothing, a torch, and I think that's really about it. And then from there, you're sent out into the world to figure things out for yourself. You come across a couple creatures. From there, if you want, you can get into like boss battles and dungeons, and there's a lot more to this game. Honestly, in my 10 hours of playing the game so far, where I barely scratched the surface because I took a whole other direction, which after talking to a lot of our Discord members, our Discord is hopping with this game right now.
Oh, yes.
But a lot of them are out there looking for the next gear set and looking to get like dragon eggs, and like there's just certain aspects to the game. They're talking about this boss fight, that boss fight, and I'm like, yo, I didn't even do any of that. I did this instead, where I would go out and I'm actually building like a whole village. You said you touched on the music, right? How chill it is. So I'm just kind of relaxing, going out, knocking some trees down, gathering some stones, and yeah, you know what? I built a fire pit. I built a workbench. The workbench, to me, it has a limited space to it, right? So when you build my village, and as essence here, where I had a building, a canopy, I put another house down, and then you know what I did is, man, this is the problem. What happened is I built a boat. I get on the boat. I sail across the water. I find this beautiful spot where I'm going, yo, this would be a great space to start building something else. And that's what I did. It's got rocks, so I'm starting to build this huge fort around this area now. My boat's crashed somehow and disappeared. So I've got no way back, Steve. I got no way back home to everything I built. So now I had to craft another workbench, but I'm starting to build out this huge village, and it's just me. But I got a workbench over on one side, but then it has a limited amount of space that you're able to craft and build things in. So if you want to build, say, further down, like if you want to build a village like I do, then you need to go out further and build another workbench to engross that area, so it allows you to work again. And when I made my boat, because I was so far away from the water, I had to build another workbench. Like, man, I rebuilt one workbench, now I gotta build another one, and now I gotta build another one. I just keep going and going and going, but it's the building aspect and the grind of getting all the stuff, the materials that I need, right? That keep me going on this game. And I know there's a whole other aspect to this game that I haven't even touched. And I'm so far into this game already, loving every minute of it. And I know there's a whole other adventure well ahead of me yet. It's awesome.
Just a quick question. How did you find on the building? I found quite awkward, like leveling all the side walls and the roof. I mean, like I said, I was using a controller, and a lot of times it wouldn't level up straight, and it would be off sync, and it'd be keep rotating it and then smashing it down and repositioning it, and But
Well-
yeah, I had a bit of issue on my building, and like we sort of said previously, like the rundown shacks that you see throughout the game, like with chests in them.
Yeah.
My kind of shelter looked like that, but apart from it's got a bed, a small chest, my workbench, and a fire inside the house.
Yeah.
All the shelter, and also like the icons as well on the top right when it says like when you're cold, or if it's raining, and gives you a little hint of how you're feeling, I guess. If
your
you're
mental
feeling
health
cold.
in a sense, right?
How do you find the boars? I've been killed so many times by the boars.
I hit him with an axe. You gotta. So this is the other best part. I think one of the good parts about the game is the more you do something, the more you level up that ability in a sense. So when you go into stealth mode, right? So for me, because I'm on mouse and keyboard, I hit the left control button and I go into crouch. But it has a stamina bar too. So that stamina bar at the beginning of the game would just diminish instantly almost, right? But the more I did this stealth aspect to sneak up behind deers for materials, to sneak up behind boars, the more I upgraded and it upgraded and it upgraded. And the more I chopped down trees, that upgraded too, right? So the more you do something, the more your character gets accustomed to doing that. It's like practice makes perfect in a sense. So for me, it was cool.
Sorry. And I do love this way of skilling up as well.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to like do 50 headshots or do this, get skill points, and then use it on a skill tree.
Yeah.
It's like you do a couple of dodges, a couple of rolls, it automatically goes up. Use your axe, you use a club.
Yeah.
That skill goes up as well. And I like the idea of progressing that way because then it just keeps it more interesting. And you want to skill up higher because then you can go for the bigger rewards.
Absolutely.
Like, obviously, hunting the deers and stuff like that.
Well, Steve, I think we've had a great time in Valheim. There's a reason why it took Steam by storm. And for me, I gotta recommend Valheim. There's so much content in this game. Parts of it we haven't even touched. But yeah, you talk to our community and they're so far ahead into this game. There's just so many other options. You can choose your own destination and it's just a blast for me. You gonna recommend, Steve, or not recommend this one?
This is definitely a recommend. This game is so addictive. The art style, the music, it's got me. I'm one of those millions.
Nice.
This open world RPG is a lot of work but very rewarding if you stick with it. The visuals suit this genre of game, with the relaxing audio makes time slip away. In early access, Valheim is a recommend.
Alright, this week I'm in search in the deep sky sector for the alien Derelict. Alright, so heading straight into deep sky derelicts, the story starts you off as a stateless scavenger, and you and two of the other squad mates, all of which you get to form your squad personally. There are multiple classes to pick, multiple pictures, and you can choose lots of wacky names. I actually really enjoyed forming your squad because there is a lot of depth into building your squad. It's not just, you know, having 3 attackers and just running in and hoping that you can just take everything out, because you're going to want a medic or some scavenger based classes for what's in this game. But the story, it starts you off in conversation with the sub-governor, and the way this whole kind of universe works, it's split off into 2 categories: the rich and the not so rich. And basically you are a stateless scavenger and you're set out to find this ancient alien derelict. And if you do, you gain citizenship to one of these rich planets. So in this whole game, you're kind of just in search of finding this ancient alien artifact. And along the way, there are a ton of side quests and main quests that kind of branch off into other things. This game actually offers a lot of stuff while you're playing the game. So alongside your journey, you're set out on these missions, and with each mission, you have 1,000 energy that you have to distribute between traveling and scanning along the map, and then running into these encounters. And these encounters, sometimes they offer combat, sometimes they offer new missions. There's actually a lot of different things, all of which you're reading, unfortunately. But there is a lot of stuff. In my few playthroughs that I had, because I died quite a few times, I actually encountered multiple scenarios. But the combat, like I was saying, it's turn-based. It's all about picking your move, whether or not it's to pacify the enemy, or to just straight up attack the enemy, or spread your damage across multiple enemies. There's all sorts of things to do within this game, all of which you gain these cards from upgrading your character. There are all sorts of mods and different weapons to buff and soup up your character. So after several hours of playing this game, I must say I had a pretty solid experience playing this on my Series X. Zero load times, everything was instantaneous, the graphics look really clean and crisp. The story is, it's not the most engaging thing, but it's there, and really where this game shines is building your character. So I'm gonna have to give this one a 7 out of 10. Deep Sky Derelicts offers great RPG mechanics in this card combat, turn-based style game. The freedom of choosing your squad offers a variety of builds, giving this game a lot of replayability. The story, however, wasn't as engaging as I would have hoped, and the lack of voiceovers makes for a lot of reading.
Well, that'll wrap up this week's episode. Thank you for hanging out with us. And of course, you can be a part of the show. All you have to do is go to insidethegame.ca or hit us up on our Discord, just like our boy GamesUp did with some Miles Morales. Check out the latest in Spiderman. Definitely a cool game. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you inside the game.
Nice. Hey, take this.
Hurt a lot of people today, Alexi. Too many.
This is Spider-Man, guys. This right here is Spider-Man.